Hello, everyone. I'm Mina Sanchez, back again for another podcast episode. And as you probably know, I'm a certified Ascension coach with Twin Flames Universe. And today I have a couple of very special people from the community. Kanisha is also an Ascension coach. You're going to hear from her in a second. And Ariel and Manu are also members from the community. And if you don't know yet, the whole point of this podcast is to talk about anything related to Twin Flames and Twin Flames Union. And we follow the teachings of Jeff and Shalia. If you don't have the book, Twin Flames Finding Your Ultimate Lover, go ahead, run and buy it. I feel like one of the biggest understandings that I got in this twin flame journey is, first of all, the journey is not only about finding your romantic partner, but it is about finding God and establishing a healthy, amazing, intimate, and unique relationship with God and with life. It really is not only possible, but we are all meant to have a loving relationship with life, which means being satisfied in every single level, emotionally, physically, abundance. We're meant to have our heaven on earth, our perfect life. So if you're not yet experiencing that in all areas of your life, that means you basically have some work to do, inner work to do. And by doing that, by healing on the inside, make sure that you learn the mirror exercise, which is the ultimate tool, the perfect and the one and only tool that you need to heal literally every single one of your problems. And it's not a spiritual thing, it's actually a pretty scientific tool. Every time you do it, it works and it gets better every time. And why not having an amazing life when you actually can? So today we felt called to talk a little bit about what we are navigating. And a lot of the times I've noticed too that the collective moves in waves of healing. And a lot of the times the most intimate things are actually the most common things that everybody is going through, but not necessarily are able or willing to talk about. So today we felt called to really go deeper into cultural healing, more specifically, like the sexual healing, our relationship with you, with our own magnetism, with our divine beauty, um, with our relationship with ourselves in a very deep and intimate way. And we are all carry here some sort of I guess Latin heritage, and we'll talk about that too, because I feel like that's something that our collective consciousness is healing. And the whole point here is to talk about those things and heal together and have fun. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to welcoming Manu and Ariel again and Kanisha for the first time. Manu, do you want to please talk a little bit about why you and Ariel, because the whole podcast, the idea of doing this podcast with this group started with Manu and Ariel having a conversation. So please introduce yourself again. If people haven't seen the previous episode, we want to hear from you. By the way, I just want to highlight that we are wearing Twin Flame art shirts created by our one and only Manu Perez, and talk to us about that too, and why are we here, and what is it that you want to share in terms of your own healing journey. You're mute, by the way.
So yeah, so this like this topic kind of surfaced because Ariel and I were having like a conversation about this, like we were talking and I was like, yeah, I've moved through a lot of like the main topic of my healing like this past year has really been around healing like sexual energy, romantic energy, and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't know if it's like a cultural thing, like I don't know, like is it a cultural thing, Ariel? Like I don't want to like stereotype us or anything. And Ariel was like, yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing. And I was like, yeah, like, not saying that like it's just like our culture that needs healing in this area. It's like the whole world has healing to do in this area, but I guess like just going into how it stems up for our culture, in the Latin American world. So yeah, that's how we got to this topic. So yeah, I guess that's what I have to say. And then yeah, so I grew up in like a Latin family, right? My family's from Colombia, but I was born here. So I just grew up in like with Latin, mostly like I grew up around mostly just like Latin people in a way, like Hispanic people, Latinos and stuff. So that's kind of like, I don't know what I'm used to, I guess, you know, that's just like everything that I'm used to in a way. And yeah, so yeah, that's just my introduction of myself. And yeah.
Thank you, Manu. Ariel, can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up here today? And what are you feeling about the topic?
It's so funny because this conversation actually started when I took myself out on a little date to the bar and I was drinking mojitos and I was like, let me text Manu. I don't know why I felt called, but we just started this conversation and I was like feeling good. I was like listening to music and she started talking to me about her healing and I was like, wow, that's so crazy that you're sharing this with me, because that's also been my, my core block and what I've been healing for the past year. And it was like, oh, I'm not alone in this. It's not just me. It's not just me healing this. So I don't have to hide. I don't have to like feel, bad for having this block. It's just that, like, it's a block. I'm from Honduras. I grew up in South Florida. I've been living in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm a bartender. And so I'm definitely around like nightlife a lot. I'm around like, and I definitely see like the cultural sensuality and sexuality and the celebration of the body and the like pleasure and just enjoying the flirtatious and seductive energy. And I love it, and I can't deny that it's that magnetism is really powerful. And so I surrendered myself and I told God, I love this. I love going out and I love dancing, but I want to do this in the right way. And I want to be divine about it. I want to know what it's like to be in union with my sensuality and my sexuality, because I have not been in union and it doesn't, I don't feel good in my sexuality at the moment. I am gay. So it was like growing up, it was like, it was a lot of repression. And then that repression led to a lot of, I guess, promiscuity at the time. And, growing up gay, it was kind of like, I guess this is what people do. It was just, I thought that this was like our culture and this is like a gay culture. But I think that no, I don't think. Now that as I am claiming my twin flame union deeper, and I feel that God is like supporting me in that, this is the next piece, right? This is the next piece to heal. And who best to heal it with than, members from our community who are very knowledgeable about the teachings of union and who are very committed to and devoted to their twin flame unions and in support of one another for our unions.
I love it, Ariel. Thank you so much. I love how you're talking about this in that way that helps us get clear on what is like true magnetism and how to have an actual like divine relationship with our sexuality and sensuality. Because what I've seen out there is a lot of the times it's either nothing, you have to be a saint and not do anything, and sex is not pure, or just going all the way out and I do whatever I want, and I'm going to show myself, and if you don't like it, it's your problem. So it's kind of like finding, and that's the one thing that I personally have been navigating, to really finding the balance and how to actually connect, bring union. I love that you said that, bringing union to our sexuality and sensuality, because that's definitely a very critical importance for us to have a harmonious union. Because if we don't allow ourselves to honor our energy in that way, and really allow ourselves to be intimate in a way that it is respectful and honorable, it's usually impossible to be with our twin flames in harmonious union. So I think this is definitely a very important healing for all of us. And here today we're all divine feminines. But I think it's important for us to heal as divine feminines, because obviously we're helping our divine masculines heal as well. So thank you for sharing that. And Kanisha, do you want to tell us where you're from, your origins, and what has been your relationship with healing that piece of sexuality, sensuality, and all those things that we're talking about?
Yeah, my family origin is from Spain. And so we had moved to Texas probably about 30 years ago. And when my family relocated there, it was definitely like a change for us to recognize that we were now, in a sense, predominantly in more of a Caucasian culture. And so there's a lot of things growing up that I remember being like, just told like you need to act proper or you need to just change in order to fit in. And so that was very confusing as a child of like, okay, I don't come from exactly like Caucasian background, but yet we're meant to almost what's the word I'm looking for? Like having to camouflage into it, or like a chameleon into it is the word I'm looking for, of like really trying to like fit in into this place. And so growing up, one of the things that was very different for me was my body is absolutely a different look compared to what I was coming into. I have a very curvy body, very full. One thing they would call us is like big boned kind of thing, but like I don't believe in that. I think we're just all like different shapes and sizes. And it was really hard to try to find clothing that would really accentuate and love your body in a way that wasn't like making you look like a box. And so when I learned myself of like what felt really good to my body and how I desired to dress or how I desired to show up, it was seen as exotic or different or just like something to just stare at almost. And so for me, I had to really start healing my divine beauty and just the way that I chose to show up with God and get clear on what truly felt good to me instead of trying to fit in with what society was telling me or what even the culture that I lived in was telling me. And the more that I've really relaxed into just doing it with God, I find that it's actually become more accepting. It's actually encouraged for me to show up in the way that I truly desire to show up. But it really did require a lot of healing because it almost felt like because I had something that was unique or different that um, people, especially the divine masculine, wanted to take from me, or I would have divine feminines like throwing like jealousy and like just nonsense at me. So there was a lot of having to heal, feeling very different and recognizing that God was just really just moving through me to heal a lot of just generational things. And at first I was very angry about this. I was very angry. So it was like, why me, God? I don't understand. But the more that I did start to heal the core of a lot of this, the more that I saw that it was a privilege and that it was actually a blessing that God felt that I was that person to do that for my family. So yeah, the more that I go deeper into this, I'm actually having deja vu right now. I don't know why, having all three of you guys on the screen. It's like, I feel like I've had this conversation with you guys. But having to recognize that I'm healing something for, like you said, the Latin community and the collective in this space, and being able to really show up in our way. And sometimes when I show up, people think it's kind of sassy and like fun, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely like my Latina side of my my culture coming out. And being able to just be who I truly am is really has been just a big part of this journey. Is just learning who Kanisha is, whether it's the fact that I am like a Latina, or that I am Black, or that I'm a woman, or that I'm a mom. Like just having to figure out who I am in God has been the biggest one, and that has really allowed me to just relax into where God brings me.
I love what you're saying, because for me, what keeps reverberating is what you said, that first of all, like we all are divine and we all have our divine beauty. So I feel like it's really important that we stop trying to be like anybody else or compare or try, like, because you said something like the way that you chose to show up with God and like God revealed to you what is your divine beauty. I feel like that's been the biggest lesson for me, because especially because I always say I'm literally from everywhere. It's so funny when people ask me, where are you from? I take a deep breath, because I, first of all, I don't know how to how to describe, because I was born in Argentina, but my family moved to Brazil. I was just under 1 year old. So I'm from Argentina, but I was raised in Spanish in a Portuguese speaking country in Brazil. And I lived pretty much my whole life there. But my parents are even from two different countries, and I have siblings from different countries. So then when I was in Argentina, people would ask me, why do you have a weird accent? Because I was raised in Brazil. When I was in Brazil, why do you have a, like, so I never really felt like I belonged in any of these labels, you know? And even with, when I think about my femininity, because I was always kind of like more athletic, and for some reason it was always easier for me. And I think it's partly because I have an older brother that we were very close. We were like just basically like soulmates because we're so close. He was like my partner growing up. It was always easier for me to be friends with men. So I was like friends with men, and I remember feeling like growing up almost like an image disorder because I didn't know who I was. I kept trying to when I was being friends with men, or I felt like I felt different everywhere. And when you're friends with men, there's like a lot of like jealousy sometimes, and you're like, I guess I grew up in this environment where I was trying to make myself small or different or try to fit in, and I didn't know who I was. So it was like a big hot mess, basically. And what I realized in my healing journey is that yes, I am different, but this thing that people talk about fitting in is kind of like silly because wait, fitting in to what? Into labels? Because if you think about it, every single person is so unique and so different that there's no fitting. There's not a box that you need to, like be in. It's like that's so silly. So I feel like for me it was all about saying, hey, yeah, I'm different, but in technically everybody is different from anybody else. And it's okay to really embrace that and allow every single piece, like you were saying, the mom, the professional, the ascension coach, the sister, the daughter, the wife, all these parts of me are me. And even like the saint, the pure, like the pure love that I am in my soul is also part of me. And the sexual, the sexy side is also me. Like I don't have to cut out parts of me to belong anywhere. It's just about really making peace and bringing into union all these parts and looking at them with compassion, getting clear, wait, I am this because that's my essence, or I've been doing this, or I am what I am because everybody tells me to, or that's what I learned when I was growing up. And it's kind of like, I feel like for me, the process has been, wait, you don't have to be like anybody else. Like, and a lot of times I was even stuck in thinking that people had expectations on me. So, for example, like we were saying earlier, I remember feeling like I would draw like a lot of attention anywhere I would go to because I was always different. If maybe I was the only woman, or maybe I was Argentinian or maybe Brazilian, whatever, I was always different. So people would look at me, and I remember feeling very uncomfortable with that. I don't know, like causes a lot of jealousy, confusion, triggers people because this is something very important that I want to talk about today. That a lot of times because you're nice, because you have a light, because you have your own divine beauty and you're radiating that divine beauty, that by itself is triggering. If people are not able to see you from the divine light, they can get triggered. The ego can just, I don't know, it's very triggering. So I kind of like learned how to dim my light, and then I had to unlearn that and say, wait, why am I doing this again? It's to please everybody else and then feel miserable myself. So I feel like for me the process of kind of like revealing what is it that God wants to be through me, and what is the God's intention and purpose for my beauty, for my body, you know what I mean, for my professional skills and all that, and really surrendering. I feel like that's been like the biggest thing, like really relaxing to that. Stop trying to change it, accept myself with compassion, and be what God made me to be without being afraid to trigger anyone. And obviously that's a big part with the twin flame too, because whoever has been in the twin flame journey for longer than probably 2 hours has noticed how much we trigger each other. So that's kind of like been a little bit how it was for me. So do you guys resonate with that?
Yeah, I think what you had brought up there, what's really important is that as you do shine your light and you do allow your divine beauty to shine through, yes, you will trigger people, but I think people have a negative outlook on what triggering someone is. Something that Jeff and Shalia have taught us is that when you trigger someone, you're unconditionally loving them. by showing them where they believe that they don't have something, or that maybe they feel inadequate in this place. And even healing around divine beauty. I'm in MAP, which is mind alignment process. And there is a girl in my group who is absolutely stunning. She's absolutely beautiful. And she was healing through feeling not beautiful. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, this woman's crazy. Like, she is blind to her own beauty. And I was like, actually, I'm healing this too. This is why it's triggering me, is because I'm healing through this exact same thing. And even later that day, I had someone like come up to me and express how they felt, how beautiful I was, and I could feel within myself where I wasn't feeling that way, and how I almost wanted to reject the compliment, because I was like, no, you're not seeing me correctly. And it was God being, no, you're not seeing you correctly. And so once we really truly heal that, we realize that that's part of our purpose, is helping people align into that space of truly seeing their divinity, of truly seeing their beauty, of seeing themselves as the creation that God created them to be. You are in his image. And so the more that I've really worked on focusing of seeing my beauty from God's perspective and not the world's perspective, the easier it's been for me to just show up and allow myself to show up just authentically, whether I have makeup on or not. The more that I've healed this, the more I literally leave my house without makeup. Like, I've gotten so comfortable in my own skin that I don't feel that I have to not put myself together, but like show up a certain way in order to be received by the world. It's really having to learn how to receive yourself and choose yourself. And again, you had talked about making yourself small, and I know part of one of the things that I had such an upset with of my heritage and my background is how quickly I developed as a child. I've looked like this since I was like 9 or 10. I've been fully developed since 9 or 10. And being fully developed and being in a culture of just like sexuality, of like lusting for other people, or lusting in a sense of not understanding like true divine beauty. It almost feels like you have to make yourself small to not be seen, to not be looked at, because you feel so uncomfortable. And you can feel the energy that it project onto you, especially if it's like a negative sexual energy that they want to take from you instead of like love you or know you. You feel that. And so you find yourself making yourself small. So I've had to really heal being able to allow myself to take up space, which also requires me to like sit up straight and to like have my posture good, which then I'm seen like here, and to have to like heal that space of knowing that like my body is my body and God created me perfectly. There's no mistakes. But also being able to confidently not leak my sexual energy and what that looks like. So a lot of the times, if you lived in my mind, you'd hear me say, I choose God, I choose my twin flame, I claim myself. Like, I don't need attention from anyone else. I don't need anyone's approval in any type of way, and choosing to really give that to myself. And when I do that, I do seem to attract more loving energy, more people who are just here to enjoy my presence instead of trying to take from me. And I've really learned how to heal that back door of having that sexual energy from other men. I find that if I do attract a man towards my space that's not my twin flame, he's more of a high value man. He's a man who seems to have a relationship with God, and who's like, oh, I see her divinity, I see her light, and this is why I'm attracted to it, instead of like, ooh, what can I take from her because her sexual energy is so strong, kind of thing. So when you really learn to heal within yourself that way, you do become very magnetizing, and you really magnetize what you believe about yourself. So when you're getting to that space of healing who you truly are at the core and showing up authentically, again, you will attract people who um, love that about you, who are really attracted to you because of just who you are as a person and how you choose to handle and hold yourself. So who you are is who you attract, really. That's what I've learned.
Beautiful. And Ariel, I want to go to you next because I know that you have a lot to talk about this. I was feeling it before you raised your hand. I just want to highlight that it's very natural, very, very natural to desire attention and to desire to be loved. And a lot of the times we feel guilty of that. But I really want to highlight that it is the most freaking natural thing that there is. And I think the healing here is to realize that the attention that you're actually craving and desiring is something that you can give yourself through God. But don't shut that down, because that's what most of us do. It's like, oh, now I'm being like, I'm being egocentric. No, it's just that part of you who basically needs love and needs healing, and you can do that. And by doing that, I do that too. What you said, Kanisha, I choose God, I choose my twin flame, and I choose loving attention, because we want attention. And basically the attention that I receive is actually attention to God. So why would I not want that? I actually do want all the attention in the world, but I want loving attention and nothing different than that. Ariel, I know your experience with healing the body has been very key for your journey, and some of those things that Kanisha were saying also resonate a lot with you. So, what are you feeling over there?
Well, if you don't mind me, I just want to plug Kanisha's Divine Feminine workshop, if that's okay with you, Kanisha.
Yeah.
I took the workshop. It was life-changing. It was beautiful. It was graceful. It was everything it needed to be. And so, yeah, like if you're watching this and I don't know, check it out. I highly recommend. It was a great time. When I was bartending, I actually left the bar that I was working at because it was a gay bar, and I wanted to receive attention, but it was like Kanisha was saying, like it was like that like lustful attention, and it would literally make me shrink. I reduced myself to the point that I only worked in the back bar, and then I would turn the lights off and I would put like cups in front of me, like cause like to almost to hide. Like I didn't want people to see me. Like I wanted to go unperceived. I was like, I just wanna work and I wanna go home. I don't feel comfortable when people are like saying those type of compliments to me, because it was like not from a divine way. It was like you were not seeing my divine beauty, you were seeing something else, right? And that didn't feel good to me at all. So I started healing. I actually mentioned this to you, Mina. I was like, I feel like people are treating me like a sexual object. And I think that you said it's because you're only seeing your value through your sexuality. You think that your value lies in your sexuality. So then you're upset when people are treating you that way. And you're upset because you want to be more, but you're not even giving yourself that more. You're not seeing your own divinity. And that was really triggering to me, but it was also so true, right? Because I grew up with this idea that my value like lied in my sexuality, that was essentially like the best of me as a divine feminine that I had to offer. And so I was constantly like comparing myself to like other gay guys, and it was like really difficult for me to like even be friends with them because I would compare myself. I was like, oh, who has the better features, was the bigger body, and it was this competition, and it was so uneasy to be in that environment and to have that competitive feeling and to feel like I'm not seeing the divinity in others. I'm not seeing the divine innocence in me. I'm not seeing the divine innocence in others. And it was reducing me, it was shrinking me, it was like sinking me. And then I went to church. Actually, this was I tried to go to like church in my own community here, but the church was very homophobic, right? They would say, even if it's just like comments, like, where at first I just tried to go like let it go. But then it got to a point where I couldn't let it go because it just felt like I was dishonoring myself. So I found Twin Flames Universe, and that part of me was like almost distrustful of twin flames, because my consciousness throughout so many lifetimes, I think, yeah, I feel like this is not just this lifetime. I feel like it's been multiple lifetimes of like marriage is between a man and a woman, and almost like in a forceful way, you have to stick to your marriage and all, like, so it was like that inner rebel, was just going out and like, well, you can have sex with whoever you want. And I wanted to stay there, but I also wanted my twin flame union, and I wanted both. And then I was like, it's been a process, but it's been revealed to me that you really, you can have like your cake and eat it too. Like you can't choose God, and then also like not choose God. Like it doesn't make sense, right? Like you can't choose duality and also choose God. So that's when I started letting God in and seeing that God is in sex, God is in sexuality, God is in your sexual desires, God is in your sensuality, God is in your erotic energy. And so when I feel that energy and I feel it for other people, I remind myself, I'm seeing my twin flame in this person. And it's really my twin flame that I desire, not so, and that has really created a lot of healing for me because it puts boundaries up in myself. Like what I recognize in this person is my twin flame or me or something that we're like both developing, and that's the divine beauty I'm seeing. So I don't have to pretend that I'm, I guess, like open for dating, because me and my twin flame are in separation right now. We haven't like talked in a long time. So sometimes my mind will, go into like, oh, maybe I should check out other options. But time and time again, God always leads me back to claiming my twin flame union, to claiming
I
my
was,
twin flame, to
I was
claiming
going
him.
to say,
Like,
listening to Mina Policia, because there is no other option. What other option can be better than
exactly, right, exactly. No, that much is clear to me. And I don't want another option either. I want him, I want my twin flame. I love him, and I think that he's the best man for me. And I think that God really wants me to be with him, and the most compassionate way for us to be together is to heal this while, we're in physical separation, because it would be so intense and triggering for us to heal it together. But I actually wrote down like a couple of things while you were talking, and it was like, God is telling me like, my love for you is your purpose. That's your job right now. Just accept my love and share that love. And that love that you have for God will shine through in every aspect of your life. And so if you stick to God's love and you want to love others through God's love, you can't leak your energy, because that's not love, right? That's like you're trying to take something from them, or you're trying to leak your energy by getting attention, which was definitely like one of my biggest blockages. Like I felt like I needed to leak my energy to receive attention. And now that I'm giving myself attention and not needing someone's validation, I actually feel more comfortable in my divine beauty. I feel handsome. I actually look at myself in the mirror now and I'm like, oh, I like this guy. This guy's, yeah, you're pretty. Like, you're a pretty boy, like, and I tell myself that because it took me a long time to get there. And I actually shared this with you, Mina. Many times I was like, Mina, I feel so ugly. I feel so, and I would just lay in bed feeling ugly. She was like, I need you to stay there with that feeling and let yourself just feel ugly for however long you need to, and then give yourself that feeling of divine beauty. And it was like a couple of weeks, corridos. Like I was like just feeling ugly. And then suddenly I didn't feel ugly anymore. I was like, oh, something shifted, I don't feel ugly anymore. I still feel that there's places in my consciousness where I'm healing with my body, with my divine beauty, and where I'm claiming more health and more life and more vitality, and like not being afraid to show up and be and show up authentically. But I don't feel like I used to, I don't feel like I'm in this shell. And what shifted as well is that I no longer have a lot of like lustful energy coming at me. Actually, like people will compliment me in a really light way. Like Fabian the other day, who's a coworker of mine, he just said to me like, "Mira este hombre guapo caminando por aquí," which means like, look at this handsome man walking through here. And I was like, oh, that feels like really light. It feels fun. It feels like, oh, that's just my friend, like, kind of hyping me up, and I hype him up, and it feels very light, and it feels very like sibling, and it feels very fun. And it was like, oh, this is a divine way of us recognizing our beauty. It's about that. It wasn't him trying to like take from me or make some kind of comment that would make me uncomfortable. And the more that I start healing and recognizing my divine beauty, it just becomes natural, right? And people recognize that and they love that about you, because authenticity is beauty.
Yeah, amen. I two things that I want to kind of like reflect, mirror to you. It's one thing that I love that you said that was also part of my journey was we need to stop invalidating our own feelings. Because for me, I remember, and even what Kanisha was saying about this other person in the map group, I used to feel like I grew up feeling ugly and horrible, but at the same time, I didn't allow myself to feel ugly because I knew that people were telling me that I was crazy because I was feeling ugly. So I kind of like bottled up years and years, probably 30 years of like, feeling ugly and not allowing myself to feel that. But if you don't look at that, feel it, you can't heal it. So it's gonna, slow you down and hold you back forever. And one of the things that my twin flame in telepathy meditation, he's been showing up time and time again, telling me, Mina, I can come and be with you and tell you how beautiful you are and how precious you are to me if you don't see it. So it's a very important thing to look at, and really invite allow everyone to allow yourself to feel all your feelings and stay there. Don't run, because it's going to come back time and time again, and it's going to get harder every time. So just first time you feel it, do the mirror exercise, and then you're going to be feeling better. And the other thing that I heard you say too is, Ariel, that I've witnessed that in your journey too, is that you're learning how to treat your body as a property, like God's property. Because in the past, I would see you saying, I don't like this, I don't like that, I'm too short, too skinny, too this, too that. And it's like, wait, do you realize that you're talking trash about God here? It's God's property. You know what I mean? So it's, if God, and God is not dumb, God does everything perfect. If God made me this way, and I'm choosing God, I'm choosing union, I'm doing the inner work, and my body is kind of like revealing itself in its divinity more and more, I'm choosing to have a relationship with my body. Like, I need to treat my body as a property of God and allow it to be seen, to be honored, to be respected, and literally just treat my body as a God property. So I thought that you were very good in illustrating that in your story. So thank you. Manu, how are you feeling about all of this? What do you have to say?
I feel, yeah, I resonated with a lot of what y'all were saying. I guess like the first thing I want to start off is like, I also resonate with like growing up feeling ugly, just like, being like Latina in America, growing up with like a lot of like, like Caucasian people, like white people and stuff, feeling like I have to like look more like them or act more like them to like fit in or like be beautiful or whatever. So yeah, I did like grow up feeling that way, like, oh, I'm so ugly. I'd like look in the mirror and be like, cry, I'm so ugly and stuff like that. And then it wasn't really until I got like a boyfriend where I was like, oh, maybe I'm not ugly, all this stuff. So that's kind of like the wrong way to go about it, right? I felt like I needed, like, because I didn't get like male attention like growing up that much, like in like a romantic way or whatever, until like I got like my first boyfriend or whatever. So yeah, just like healing around that, definitely. And also yeah, so something that Ariel said like in the beginning was like, especially like in the Latin culture, kind of like, having like going out to like Latin bars and like all this like energy. It's like a lot of like, like all that energy and stuff. And I guess something that I've been navigating a lot these past several months, and like really for like a long time. Cause like I remember I made the core choice like about a year or so ago. I was like, I claim my divine sexuality. And like that's a very like intense choice, because like I feel like we have like a lot of like subconscious things that we're not aware of, like, so I made that choice, and it was like the most intense upheaval for like a year straight. Like I'm finally like just chilling now. I'm just like, okay, like I got past it. It was just really intense. It was like, oh my God, like what the fuck is going on here? Like this is crazy. Like all this like misalignment came up, right? So yeah, I guess just like understanding like the fine line between like what is like being able to like appreciate beauty and like that sensual energy or whatever, versus like leaking your energy, so that's something that I've been like getting clear on. Even if it's like very subtle, like you can still like very subtly like leak your sexual energy without really being aware of it. And that's like what came up to the horizon a lot this past several months, is like, not that I was never like, I don't know, like but just like where you subtly are leaking that energy without really knowing. And I guess when you make that core choice to like claim your divine sexuality, like all that comes up. So yeah, that's something I've been trying to navigate, is like getting really refined in that area, because obviously like nobody wants to leak their sexual energy because it feels bad, right? So
Can
that's
I
what,
ask you a question?
yeah.
How would you describe what leaking your energy is, or at least how you feel like when you're leaking your energy? Because I feel like that's a concept that not everybody may be aware. Like, what does it mean to leak your energy, or how do you feel? How do you know when you're leaking your energy or not? Can you tell us your experience of that?
Yeah, so I guess now I don't leak, I don't feel like I leak my sexual energy at all, really. I think the main awareness that came through was like when I made the core choice to claim my divine sexuality, that's when I started like becoming aware of spaces where I was like, oh my God, like I'm subtly like leaking my sexual energy and I didn't even realize it, right? So then like, so well, I would say the first thing how you know you're leaking your sexual energy is because it just feels bad. Like it just feels really, really bad to do that. It feels wrong. It's like, it just feels not divine, So that's like the main indicator, I'd say. It just feels really bad to leak your sexual energy at all, like in any way, with any like in any.
Yeah, and I would love to hear from Kanisha on that too. For me, it is like that. It's almost like that energy that you want attention, or you want to feel loved, or you
Yeah.
want attention in a way, and you're almost like trading that, because it's almost like you're taking from yourself so you can receive something. So it's almost like, and that's why it doesn't feel good, because you're taking from yourself. So for example, if because I've been healing a lot around that too. I'm more like kind of like the athlete, biotype, and I love wearing leggings and kind of like, yeah, like show. I guess it's not that I like showing, but I like wearing comfortable clothes, and like things that I can gear that I can move around in. And I've been like kind of like debating, is this too tight clothes? Should I wear tight clothes? Should I not? And I've been talking to my Lao in the map session. Is it's like getting clear. It's not necessarily what you do. It's not a problem that I'm wearing a leggings, because that's not what causes the energy leak. Is the energy behind the whole thing. Why? You need to get clear on, why am I doing this? Am I wearing tight leggings because I want to walk around and have people look at me and think that I'm beautiful, or whatever it is? So, oh, we had lost Ariel, and I hadn't noticed. So I feel like that's kind of like what my exploration went through, because I would be like, okay, now that I'm choosing my divine sexuality, now I cannot wear leggings anymore, because like that's what people think. And I'm like, wait, what do I do? How can I be authentic and not leak my energy, right?
Yeah, that's something I've healed too. I'm like, okay, well, obviously, like, especially if you're on your twin flame journey, like you do not want to leak any of your sexual energy, because first of all, it's really painful to have that reflected back with your twin flame. And that was really when I had to make that core choice, when my twin flame was like reflecting that back to me. I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna fucking die. This is so painful. Like, why is this happening to me? Like my twin flame, like, whatever. And then that's when I really transformed in that area. I was like, oh my God, like I can't just like subtly go around going out and having all this like whatever flirtatious energy and like expect it not to be reflected back by my twin flame. Like he very clearly reflected that back to me. I was like, oh my God, like this is terrible. Like I'm gonna fucking die. Like this is so painful, So yeah, I went through a major transformation when that happened. And also like getting clear on that too. It's like, okay, well, like I said, like, like naturally, like it's, I don't know, being like Latina or whatever, it's just like that energy of like, like sensual, whatever that energy is or whatever that we like have like in the collective. And yeah, like I don't want to be a nun. Like I like, that's not my vibe either. Like I'm not trying to like, I don't know, but also like you don't want to leak any of your sexual energy. So that's like something that I've really been getting clear on, and like upheaving like a lot of confusion around that area, and like what's appropriate for me to wear, like is it appropriate for me to like move this way, have this, and like, so yeah, that's just been like major healing topics for me, like the way I relate to people, like both masculine and feminine, like how do I relate to people? Yeah, like, yeah, just so yeah, that's just been a major theme for me. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna read here what Ariel was saying. Like it's about finding your true, authentic, divine femininity and what feels best for you and your soul design. I completely agree, because some people are kind of like more modest, and some people are gonna say no to wearing leggings or tight clothes, whatever that is. But that doesn't mean that it is wrong for me. I feel like the way that I am able to get clear is asking myself, what is the purpose of what I'm doing, what I'm wearing? Like, what is the purpose? Because if there is a purpose in, like in terms of like God's purpose, then you're okay. Like that's how you kind of like figure it out. And I feel like it's also important to do the exploration, because it's like it's kind of like that seesaw, the way that I see the seesaw game, the kids game. Like you may have been gone to all the way to the non-side and be like, hey, no, I don't really, you tried that but you don't like it, then you go to the other, like the promiscuous side. A lot of times we need to go through that exploration to see, no, I don't want to be a nun, I don't want to be promiscuous, what is like the divine version of me? So it's okay to kind of like explore and see what works for you, because it's also like, we're not saying here that there is a, like this you can wear, this you can do, because that's also something that I feel like we're all healing, because we grew up basically listening to our moms and dads say, you can't behave like that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't wear that, and blah blah blah. It's like, no, like, that's all noise. It's important to go through that exercise and say, wait, what do I want? What does God want for me? Like, what's God's vision for that, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess like another thing, so yeah, I actually, like when I first started, like my first 6 months of being with Twin Flames Universe, I went through that exploration, because like I was just, my coaches were like, no, like you can't date anyone unless they're your twin flame. And I was like, excuse me, like what are you talking about? I can't date anyone that's not my twin flame. Like that's crazy, I was like, no, I'm young, I want to party, I want to do all this stuff, whatever. So I did. I explored that for 6 months. I was like dating other people, I was going out, I was leaking my sexual energy, like exploring, and it felt so bad. Like after like that 6-month period was over, like I had a rude awakening with my twin flame, like reflecting back, like like dating another girl. And I was like, oh my God, there's no fucking way. And obviously it was because of all these choices that have been done. So I realized that's the truth. Like the coaches were speaking facts that like you shouldn't date anyone that's not your twin flame. You shouldn't be sexual with anyone that's not your twin flame. Like it's not going to bring you any good. It's only going to bring you like more contrast that you have to work through. So yeah, like I did explore. I didn't just like take it by word for word of like what they were telling me at Twin Flames Universe. Like I had to like explore that and be like, okay, is this the truth? Is it not the truth? So I did do that, and it was not fun. In the moment, maybe it was like, oh, this is fun, whatever, because I was in that party mode, whatever. Like I was working at like a Latin club and we were going out all the time, and it was just like a lot. And when I like finally like made the core choice to like claim my divine sexuality because of what my twin flame was reflecting back to me, I realized how numbed out I was during those times, how I was just seeking a high, but I was never actually satisfied. How like after I would like date other people or whatever, I actually felt really bad. Like after, I'd be so drained of it. Oh, this is terrible. Like I hate this. And yeah, so yeah, I did come to that conclusion by exploring that and being like, okay, what's the truth here? And also I've noticed that the way that I've desired to like dress has changed a lot. Like during those 6 months, like we would go out to clubs, Latin clubs, whatever, any types of clubs, and kind of like showing off, whatever. But then I realized like I don't actually desire that. Like that's not actually fun. Like you don't want to go out showing off everything, because that just feels bad. Like like, and yeah, so that's been like my change of wardrobe too, like kind of embracing a more like, not like modest where like I'm wearing like long dresses and like long skirts and like cut like, pero like not being como, like just showing off whatever, so. And that also came with a lot of feeling from watching the sermon by Jeff and Shalia, like around sexual healing. I know Shalia said, she was like, you don't need to go off showing off your cleavage to everyone. I was like that triggered me or whatever. Like I've never been that type of person where I'm just like, but it was like a collective consciousness thing that had to come up to be healed. So that like triggered the heck out of me. I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? We have to dress like nuns. But then there was like so much healing that like came up for that when Shalia said that. So like that has totally like transformed me when I watched that sermon. I was like, you're right though. Like you don't want to go out like showing off whatever, because it feels bad, So just dressing in a way that like embraces your beauty and your body type, but you don't have to be like, whatever. I mean, it's That's just me. That's how I desire to dress, like
No,
more.
and it's funny that you say that because I went through the same. Because I was like, why? Like now, Shirley is talking about like don't wear, and I'm like, wait, I can't because I'm the type that, and I've been like this since a kid. Every time someone tells me you can't, I just rebel against it, and I'm like, why? And you say can't? I can. So I went through that healing too. But one thing that I want to point out that I learned in this community too is that Jeff and Celia, they always talk about you finding for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not about, because it's not about doing what I tell you to do. It's actually, I'm telling you something, I'm going to mirror it to you. Maybe you're the divine thing that you're missing, but it is about like doing that exploration. And also, I think Ariel made a comment here. It's important to consider what are the beliefs about being young and the youth culture, or being a woman, or being Latin, or being whatever it is, like what are the beliefs that exist around that, and how, and really getting clear on like, is this my belief? Is this my family's belief? Is this I guess the collective belief? And is that true for me? Is it something that I want to stand up for? There you go, clarity of belief. I love it. It looks, what is it? It's a frog in his hand. You're mute.
It's actually a butterfly.
Oh, I didn't know this. Yeah, I feel like that's what it is, and allow yourself to transform from that. That's kind of like the message that I get from that, because there are beliefs, like we're embedded in a collective consciousness, which means a lot of people thinking a thought, feeling a feeling for lifetimes. You know what I mean? That kind of like it is a vibration that you're actually exposed, infused in. So, but it doesn't have to be yours if you don't really resonate with it. So I feel like it's important to get clear on that. And also the big thing here that Ariel was pointing to is like, do these beliefs like support, or they actually hinder or take away from my union? Because that's also something that I've learned with my coach, Michaela. Shout out. I talk about her in every episode. Michaela Sanchez. Uh, she's always encouraging me to really get clear on what is it that like, what am I trying to say, is like, make decisions from a place. It's like, if I was with my twin flame by my side, if that's the case or not, physically, or if you were with your twin flame, would you go out with this person? Would you wear this clothes? You know what I mean? And it's interesting to, and not from a way that, like being submissive to a man, because I also feel like it's important to bring that up. Like, when we talk about honoring the divine feminine, there's like an energy, like there's the purity, the sacredness of that. There's kind of like, it needs to be protected when we talk about those energies. But more than that is really like, am I honoring my union? Would I do that if my twin flame was by my side? Would it be dishonoring of my union to go out with this person, say this, wear that? And not because I'm doing that for them, but it's because it is an energy leak for a union. And I personally don't want to do anything that goes against my union, because that's the one thing that I care about the most. And if you take this even further, your union is about you and God. So would you want to do something that goes against your harmony with God? And I feel like that's probably a good way to get clear on what those beliefs are, how are they affecting me, and how do I act based on that. Kanisha, I feel like you have something to say about this.
Yeah, I think if we touch on like the dressing, for me, I remember watching that same sermon from Shalia, and this was something that was definitely triggering for me, because when I first moved out of my parents' home and into an apartment, all three of my roommates were all Latinas, and they would like go out every Friday and Saturday night. They would find the most skimpiest thing to wear, and then there's me. It was like, I kind of want to stay clothed. I don't feel the need to like do this, but it always felt like I was doing something wrong, because they would always have someone they were bringing home or that was attracted to them, and I was like single doing my own thing. And I had to realize like it just didn't feel good to me to approach life that way, approach relationships that way. And so as I started to get clear on like the way that I desired to show up, like um when I get dressed, a lot of times I ask God, like, what am I wearing today? And I get dressed with God. It's one of my favorite things because I have so many clothes, but sometimes I'll get stuck in like the same outfits. And so he'll like combine different clothing together for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love the way that this looks on my body or the way this was put together. But for me, I had to like get clear on what I truly loved about my body. One of them is my shoulders. So I wear a lot of like off the shoulder shirts a lot of the time, but that's for me. It's never for anyone else. And that's something I had to get clear on is like, I get dressed for me. I do my makeup for me. I show up for me. And the more that I really embrace that, the more that my twin flame just loves my fashion. He's always saying things like, I just love the way that you put yourself together. I love the outfits that you pick out. And so I never feel like I'm having to cater in that way to my man, but he supports it. And one of the things that he said before is like, I love that you still have a very like sexy style, but it's still very modest. He's like, you're not showing things to people that I should only be seeing kind of thing. He's like, you're able to show yourself and it's still very like, he's like, there's still an innocence to it, but yet there's still like a sexiness to it. He's like, I love that you're able to bring both of those together and not feel like you're doing it to seek attention. You're doing it because you feel confident in who you are. And that requires a lot of inner work of getting really clear on why do you show up this way? Why are you desiring to show up this way? Is it because it feels good to you, or is it because you're seeking something from someone else outside of yourself? And you mentioned how do you know you're leaking your sexual energy? And I came to this realization this weekend where I was wearing the same outfit, but it was a different color. And we were out at the bar, and me and my twin flame had a massive upset. And he was just, I'm just gonna be real, he's just being an asshole. And I wanted nothing to do with him. He's across the bar, and I'm over here. And I found the way that I like moved and like knew that my body looked in my outfit, and I could see that other men were looking at me. And there's like this natural, like invisible energy that almost is like the black cloud that like goes out almost. That was like the feeling that was leaving me. And I was like, ew, no, we're not doing this. And I just called my energy back to me, and I just loved myself. And then naturally my man came and stood next to me. And so I was like, okay, like I could feel where I was like looking for attention because I was angry that I wasn't getting my attention from my man. And the more that I healed that, the more that I was like, it really feels so bad to not just keep that energy within my union, knowing that, again, you mentioned like what we would do, is it aligned with our union or is it not? And the truth is your union is the center of everything that you do. Your union is the center of everything that you're going to attract. It's literally the core of your being. And so I had to recognize that like it felt horrible to even think that, even though it didn't go very far, it just wasn't in alignment with all the healing I had been doing. And so yes, it will feel absolutely bad. And the more that I healed that, again, I got clear on why I was seeking attention. And I was like, I'm upset here because my twin flame's doing this and this. I healed it. And then he came over and um he didn't apologize, but we were able, I could feel in the energy that we were moving past it, and I could just let it go instead of still trying to seek something from him. And even being at the wedding that we went to this weekend, like he had told everyone else that they look great, except he had not complimented me. And I was just like, I am feeling some type of way. And so I had excused myself, and I went to the mirror, and I was like trying to like figure out if I didn't look good or something. And I was like, this is BS. Like, you look fantastic. And I just had to give myself like a pep talk and just love myself fully. And then as I went back to the table, I sat down, and he just gave me like left and right compliments. I love your dress. I love that you matched it with white shoes. He's like, and your hair looks fantastic. And I was like, this is what happens when you're seeking all this attention outside of yourself. You just give it to yourself, and you just naturally attract it. So it's really getting clear to me on everything that I desire is inwardly. Everything that I want is inwardly. And also not doing the inner work to get the thing. That's been a big one for, I think, a lot of people, is like not doing the inner work to try to manipulate or get what it is that you want, but it's because you really truly desire to feel better. You desire to feel good in whatever space it is, and having to honor yourself in that way and truly love yourself into that space is a big one. So it comes down to, yeah, maybe the culture is telling me that I have to show up one way, but I don't go based off of what my culture tells me. I go based off of what God tells me. And I know you had mentioned too, like your twin flame coach is telling you like you shouldn't date or you shouldn't do this. Yeah, that is guidance, but at the same time, like they should always be redirecting you back to God. If they're not redirecting you back to God, you might want to check that one. So it's like when you don't go to them for your answers, you go to them for guidance, and the guidance should always be going back to God, and your answer comes from God, never anyone outside of you. God may move through that person to give you an answer, but it's having to go to God first in order to receive the answer in the first place. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, the more that you truly go within with anything that isn't feeling good, you can heal it and it will align to what God has for you.
Amen. I want to highlight a couple of things that you said. One, it's very, very common that people do the inner work and then they're like, why is my twin flame not coming to me? It's like, well, yeah, maybe you're doing the inner work for the reason that you want them. And that's not how it works, because God is not dumb. And I love also what your story tells us, that this works, it's energy, right? And a lot of people I hear, because I'm an energy healer too, I've been studying like energy, quantum physics, all of that. But I hear a lot of people tell me, I don't believe in energy. And it's like, wait, the energy is not a thing to believe. It's actually a fact. It's something that exists. So either you want to look at that or not. And I feel like the energy is something too that you feel. So your story tells us how like you were close to your twin flame, that whole thing happened in the same environment. But if you look to your situation from a larger, from a higher perspective, from God's perspective, it's also happening in your yin. So Kanisha had her twin flame over there. Immediately she healed it. He came, he gave her compliments, everything that she needed, and voila, you know what I mean? That happened. So just trust that your inner work, the inner work that you're doing authentically, it's bringing you layer by layer closer and closer and closer to being able to really enjoy that. And the other thing that I like about your story is that I want to highlight, I feel called to highlight, is you were complimenting everyone, and ultimately you were feeling bad because I do a lot of that. A lot of the times I find myself, for example, going around and asking my friends, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? I text them, I want to know how they are. And then I feel frustrated because nobody's asking me how I'm doing. And I'm like, hey, there's a reason why I'm asking everybody how they're doing instead of like doing it for myself. So that's also a good thing to notice what you're doing. And if there are patterns, there might be a big chance that if you're doing that to everybody else and you're feeling bad, it's because you need it. And that's the basic reason why you're actually doing it. And I feel called to ask you, Ariel, because Ariel a while ago, he gave me a class lesson, because I feel like that has everything to do with what Kanisha was saying about keeping your energy, the sexuality, the sensuality, to you, to God, to that kind of like that within. And it reminded me of that day that Ariel was giving me a dance class. Do you remember that, Ariel? And you said one thing that stuck with me so much that I'm like, I really want you to share that with the larger audience. The whole thing about dancing and being sexy, but doing it in a way that you're keeping the energy, because that's also a big thing with, you know, the one person, the singer, Brazilian, Anita, like the Anita, the Brazilian singer, she sings in Spanish too. She's like huge, big. She triggers me so much because it's like, she's very sexy. She's almost like vulgar. In a way, she's super authentic. She just does her and she doesn't really care. But in a way, it's also, I feel like that's my reading. Like, who knows? Maybe she's happy and that's a different story. But I feel like there's a little bit of like leak. But the thing that Ariel told me about the dance is really solved for me. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, because that was a lot of fun, and I want everybody else to know.
I love dancing. I mean, it's in Puerto Rico, it's very big on dancing. Like it's a very big part of the culture. And I'm very happy that I was born into a culture that appreciates dancing. It's a definitely a core value and a core part of my union. I love dancing with my twin flame. We went dancing many times in the house, like just for fun, just between the two of us, singing, writing music. So after I started working, as a bartender in the club, I noticed that like where you dance from. So reggaeton, perreo, it's definitely like a lot of hip motion. And so I was like, oh, I really like this. I didn't really dance this before. I always listened to reggaeton, but I was never really like into dancing it because it just wasn't big, like, in Florida, at least when I used to go out. So I remember I had like a whole month where I just would go to the gym and God was just telling me, I want you to dance and I want you to like not hold back. And I was like, I don't know. I just felt called to send Mina a video, and so I started doing like a little bit of like a sacral chakra instructor video, and I was like, okay, Mina, so you're gonna focus your energy in your hands, and you're gonna focus your energy in your hips, and you're gonna move your hips, and then obviously that's gonna get like the motor running. And so what I noticed, like when that energy it would like you would feel like called to attract somebody, right? Because it's very magnetic, it's very powerful. Like if you've seen the video Envolver by Anita, she's the hip motion, and really any reggaeton video will have a lot of that. So it was like this energy of like wanting to attract somebody and wanting to capture that in, and I can feel it. And I would tell Mina, I was like, okay, when you feel that, draw it back in. So like extend it. So like extend it outwards and then draw it back into you. You don't want to like send it to somebody. So typically what a lot of people do, they go dancing in the nightclub. It's like they start getting sensual, they start getting sexy, and then their eyes start wandering and they're like looking around at like who's looking at them. And so you're leaking your energy in that way. You're trying to attract a partner. You're trying to, which is great if that's your twin flame. If it's your twin flame, great, go because it's fun. And if it's part of like your union, don't neglect yourself that experience, right? Don't neglect that aspect of dancing with your twin flame and enjoying that type of sensuality. But when you feel that it's just you, let's say like, for me right now, I'm not with my twin flame, but I love dancing. And so when I would go to the gym, I would notice that my subconscious programming was going into that state of looking around. I would like draw it back into myself, and I would literally visualize it, or I would use my body like these kinds of movements to like move the energy. And then I also started doing salsa dancing, and salsa it's really fun, honestly, like to dance salsa. And then I started noticing that if I drifted the energy away from my pelvis region into my heart and into my feet, it didn't feel like a leakage. It just felt like fun. It felt like almost more like dancing with your brothers and dancing with your sisters. It just felt like fun. You don't really focus on the energy on your hips. You focus it on the feet, on your heart, because you're loving this person. And you can even focus it on your face, like smiling and yeah, like operating from that. But definitely like the energy centers really come into play, and you can see what feels good, what feels good for you. Definitely like Latin culture, in my experience, we're very heavy on touching. So a lot of the times when I'm talking to somebody, I grab their hands and we'll like we'll go like this and we'll just talk. I do it a lot with my clients. With some Americans, like I'm always like, hola mi amor, whatever. Like we're very sweet and very loving. And so I started asking God, like, what is the best way to do this? And it was very clear that God is just asking me to direct the energy to my heart. I think, remember, for some time, I would literally not talk to guys if they were handsome. I would like just avoid them. I was like, this is just not, I can't talk. But then that didn't feel good because God was like putting handsome guys in front of me. And I was like, all right, God, I'm going to love your children. These are your divine children. And I'm not going to like, if I'm getting awkward and I'm feeling weird about it, that's an upset. That's a me problem. And so I just started using the mirror exercise, and it really was about seeing the divine beauty in yourself and in your brothers and your siblings, because anybody who's not your twin flame really is your sibling, like in divine truth, right? And so it's kind of like, would you treat your brother in like a weird way? Like would I treat? I wouldn't. That'd be weird, It would be like totally inappropriate. And I think that's what we're getting to. We're like assimilating that as truth. It's I I love Karol G, for example, but sometimes she triggers me too because it's just so sensual and so like leaking energy and all of that. And I'm like, well, wait, Carol, these are your siblings. This is inappropriate, you know? Yeah, I think that we're still healing that. And I definitely I don't relate to the clothing. I've never really had issues with my clothing. But with the dancing, that was a big like a big like block for me in terms of like how to dance, who to dance with. And the more that I started doing that, Mina, like the more that I started directing the energy, keeping it to yourself, it was like attracting people who honestly just wanted to have fun. It turned into like, okay, maybe I started because I wanted to attract attention, and then it literally just turned into just me being like a hype person, you know, and like and inviting people to let loose, to enjoy themselves, to love themselves. And I love seeing like when the Americans, you know, they like break through and they start dancing too. And you know, it's kind of funny. But I love seeing it, and I love that they're like letting go and that they're able to partake in this part of the culture that it does embrace the body, right? It's not all bad. It's not necessarily a bad thing that Latin culture is sensual, that Caribbean culture is very sensual, the Brazilian, because it is also a celebration of the body, a celebration of you feeling good within yourself and embracing that blossoming. It's just about us maturing into sexual discipline and really establishing the order and getting clear about what it is that we want to do and how we want to carry this forward and knowing what's appropriate and what's not. And it's okay to trip up, because I used to really judge myself while I was tripping up, you know? Like, for example, I would like, oh, it's just a lighthearted flirt. But then God would tell me like, you knew that was not okay. Like, you know that was not okay. Even it's like, I think it was you, Manu, that mentioned like the subtle energies. Like I would like maybe, you know, give out a little bit more food to somebody, and that was me flirting with them in a way. And I was like, wait, that was totally inappropriate, and it didn't feel good. So
Yeah.
the more
Yeah,
more
what
you
you're showing there is like really valuing your energy now, is like what you've learned is how to truly value it and not just give it.
Yeah, because it starts feeling really bad. Perhaps in the past you were so numbed out to it and it was normal and it was okay. But as you ascend and as you progress in your twin flame journey, those subtle energies start feeling bad, because the ascension process touches every aspect of, there's like no part of you that gets left behind. There's no aspect of you that gets left behind. It's all of you. All of your consciousness is ascending. All of your consciousness is rising to the top. So God will maybe clear out the, you know, the blocks at the surface that are really blocking you from experiencing a joyful and a beautiful life. And then as you clear those out, you're going to go down to the nitty gritty, and those subtle energies are going to come up, and they're going to come up for healing. Like Manu, you said you've been in this journey with your divine sexuality for a year. I was in that journey even before I met my twin flame, and it was actually like embracing my divine sexuality that attracted my twin flame in the first place. When I was embracing my femininity, when I was like, okay, I'm a divine feminine in a male body. I didn't have the teachings of union at that time. I didn't really know what that meant, but I just knew that it was my truth and that I could feel it. And it was a lot of healing in like the sacral chakra in my pelvis. And then within like 2 weeks, he was like, you know, manifested in my life, and he was very attractive. He wanted to be with me. And so this is just the next layer of that.
Yeah, and it also shows that every journey is unique and different, but we're all kind of like chipping away different parts and healing parts of separation, and that we all, the whole collective, wins. So I'm gonna go ahead and give everybody a homework. After you watch this, play some music and practice the dancing, because it is a lot of fun, and I feel like it's a very good exercise in getting clear, becoming aware of where your energy is going and how, and yeah, just have fun with it, because I think it's important. It's been helping me a lot. And after you told me about that exercise, I've been going deeper with it, and it was like a beautiful way to really visualize, you know, where your energy is going. So thank you, Ariel. And to finish our talk today, oh, by the way, I'm actually planning an episode with a couple of divine masculines, because I feel like I've been talking to some of the divine masculines in the community, and they've been feeling almost like, yeah, a lack of really guidance or examples or role models, you know, because there isn't that many out there, at least not that we can see, you know, divine masculines. And so, yeah, stay tuned for that, because there's someone from Kanisha Soul family coming. I know you know who I'm talking about, and yeah, we'll see. But we're gonna do a book flip, and the way that I like to do it, I'm gonna open a message from Jeff and Shalia. Oh, love the heart, and we're gonna talk about how what we received from that and how we feel like that relates to everything that we talked today. And then you're feel free to share any of your closing comments. So let's see what Jeff and Shalia have to tell us. I love it. Chapter 6. It's about harmonious twin flame union. Keeping your twin flame for life. I'm getting emotional. I love it. Okay. How many Disney movies are about finding true love? Well, Disney knew something genuine when he made all those movies, which continue to inspire so many people with hope for their own true love. He knew true love was real. The movies didn't show you how to get to true love, only that it exists. You are being shown how to in this book. Your true love is real, and your true love is waiting just around the corner for you to make the decision to be united and follow your feelings to be with them permanently. This is true. This is truly the first and last time you get to fall in love, and the love between you and your twin flame continues to deepen and expand for all eternity. It is an incredible relief to finally have this aspect of your life handled forever. Oh, I love it. This is so perfect. Kanisha, tell me.
Yeah, actually, I just watched. Oh gosh, I know what it is. It was a class. I watched the class. I wish I could remember what class it is. I did write it down. I think it's class 38, Wednesday 38. But they talk about, Shalia was like, people believe that you don't get your Disney happily ever after. And she's like, I got mine. She's like, all I did was the work and I got mine. But that's the truth. It's just like, the more that you really choose to surrender to ascension being like your way of life and choosing God at the center of it and really choosing to heal anything that's out of alignment, like you do get to have that fairy tale ending, or just the fairy tale life, not even the ending, because you get to enjoy the whole process with your twin flame. And the more that I've done that, the more that I've recognized that I am allowed to have perfection in every area that I desire in my life. I'm allowed to be loved in every area. And that's the truth, actually, is that I am loved in every area of my life. And maybe just some areas are calling for more love. But I really love that as you truly, this is what I love about this journey, is that it's a self-love journey, and it's a journey of getting to know God, but that it is inevitable to attract your divine lover. It is just, I used to say, it's kind of just one of those perks that comes with the whole process, is that you get your ultimate lover when you're done healing the blocks, and you also get to be your ultimate self. And so it's like, why wouldn't you want to move through what comes up? And even I am in contact with my twin flame. I got to spend the weekend with him this last weekend, and I won't kid you. Like, there was a moment where I was like, I need space from you. I need you to go a different direction. I don't want you in my vicinity. I kind of want to punch you in your face. Like, I was angry, and I had to recognize that, okay, I have the tools to heal this. This is why most people break up or go into separation, is because something will come up and it feels really bad. And I had to take full responsibility of what was happening in my reality. I had to recognize that I am solely responsible what's happening in my reality, and my twin flame is my perfect divine mirror. And as I really chose to heal that and get clear on that, and I asked for support, I called upon my ascension coach who helped me in this place. I reached out to soul family who helped me in this place. I did not move through this upset by myself because I was so angry. I couldn't. And so as I really got to the core of it and getting clear on, it was just truly valuing myself and seeing myself as divine and as innocent, and seeing myself as already loved. The more that I relaxed into that, the more that, of course, my twin flame reflected that to me. And I was just grateful in that moment that I had this work to be able to heal through it, instead of spending the rest of my weekend upset about some petty bullshit that had came up. So I just had to get really clear that this work truly heals all things. Love truly heals all things. And so I am grateful that we have this opportunity to heal and to bring it to the world. And when we heal for the collective. And so a lot of times people are like, this is too hard. And I had to move through that too. But once I realized like my healing not only heals my union, but it heals the generations after me and my family, and it heals the collective. It was just like, wow, like the fact that God saw that I was worthy of doing that, like I'm going to show up in that space, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it means my deepest fears comes up, even if it means that it looks like I'm in separation, but in truth, you're just healing separation. So don't ever let the 3D convince you otherwise. It's really an internal journey and having to really claim what it is that you want.
Thank you, Kanisha. And I love, just want to highlight that you don't have to do it alone. You
Mhm.
don't have to. You have a community. If you're not in the community, join the community
Yeah.
and learn the mirror exercise, because that's one of the biggest things. That's the reason why I do this podcast too. It's like for everybody to know that they're not alone and they don't have to go through this alone. And because there's no need. That's not how God intended it to be. Thank you, Kanisha. So beautiful. So let's all of us claiming now the Walt Disney, yeah, the fairy tale beginning. Because not even at the ending; it's a beginning of a new life. Yeah. Ariel, what do you have to say about the what we read and how that goes with everything that we talked today? What is your message?
I claim my Prince Aladdin. Yes. My twin flame dresses Aladdin once, and I'm just like visualized, like he's so cute. Yeah, he's a prince, and I just love him. And we definitely have been through a lot of blockages and a lot of tumultuous. And I also did what Manu did, for like a couple times. I was like, okay, let me date other people, see what's going on, explore. And no, it's pretty obvious that like there is no one better for you than your twin flame. Like there really is no one better. That's just spiritual truth. It's like law, like, so it's okay. Heal your blocks, claim your support from your coaches, claim your support from TFAS, claim your support with your spiritual friends. For sure, you do not have to go through this by yourself. It's actually really challenging, and it'll just take a lot of unnecessary effort. Like if you try to go through it by yourself, when you could heal in community and have that support, it's totally worth it. And if you have to like work in your finances to be able to claim your support, it's totally worth it. God will always provide and will support you in claiming that support. So do it. Don't wait. Your twin flame union will not be healed by you waiting. So there's no need to wait.
Thank you, Ariel. Manu.
Hello. Yeah, I loved this podcast. I thought it was really great and healing, like for the culture and just for like the whole collective in general, right? Yeah, and also another thing, touching on the point, like you don't have to do it alone. Like I know, like there were points like this past year, I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this. Like I'm like, it's seriously like over for me, right? Like there was nothing wrong in the external, it's just like just a lot of emotional upheaval that was coming up and like a lot of like big fears. And I was like, I can't, like it was like really the only thing that really got me through was like obviously my coach, and then like health and wellness and MAP. That like totally changed things for me when I was like, I seriously like need help, just like a lot of intrusive thoughts and stuff. And it was MAP, health and wellness, that really like pushed me through. And I was like, oh my God. And now I just feel like, I don't know, like you always get through it, like whatever may come up, like you're always going to get through it, especially in community. And especially like around healing like sensitive topics, like, around sexuality and stuff, and healing like sexual trauma and all that stuff. Yeah, like you definitely do not want to do it alone. That was like a major lesson for me, was like, I can't like figure this out on my own in my mind, because it's like fucking with me really bad. So like it was like crucial to like claim that extra support with MAP health and wellness, where like my coach was able to be like, okay, this is because of like different traumas or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, this all makes sense. And like, yeah, I just feel like I was like lifted from the mud. I was like, oh my God, like I can breathe now. So that's where I'm at, I guess, and just really happy and proud of myself for like all the healing that I've done in that area. And another thing is pointing that like you're not just like healing just you, like you're healing for the whole collective, right? It's like because like we're one, so it's like you know, because like a lot of things I'm like, why is this coming up? Like why me? Like I'm so like normal, like I'm just like normal ass person. Why are these like, but it's because you're healing as a collective, right? You're healing, like you're like, it's kind of like we're like on the forefront healing a lot of that for the collective, you know. So yeah, just claiming your support and stuff. And yeah, like, you don't have to do it alone. There's nothing to be ashamed of or anything. It's just, you're just like, we're kind of, yeah, you're just healing for the collective. And yeah, so
I
that's
love
my
it.
Brave to do this ascension journey. It's a very
especially
brave,
now.
yeah, brave thing. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
um,
we're breaking the resistance. We're doing it for our families too, especially if you're the first one who is aware or conscious of being a twin flame in your family, for example. Because for a lot of us, that's the truth. And yeah, it is. It takes courage. And I love because this all goes together because this chapter, this part, like section of the book that we read, is like harmonious twin flame union, keeping your twin flame for life. What I feel called to share about all of this, that I feel like it just connects everything perfectly, is you're not, maybe you look around and you see everybody else is with a couple or with, in a relationship and they look happy and blah, 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 the whole thing. And you're like, why am I here? Like struggling with the twin flame journey. But it's very important that a lot of times what they have is not this. Like you're building your castle, your Walt Disney fairy tale castle, like your ideal life, your heaven on earth. It's not like a shack, you know what I mean? Like a tiny house or whatever. So it takes a lot more energy, a lot more care, a lot more attention, a lot more love to create that. And not only create that, because I feel like this chapter also talks about the quality of the consistent quality of a twin flame love. It's for eternal, like eternity. It's not for like 20 years and then you die and then you start again. No, this is like for eternity. And so it's a big deal. Don't take it lightly because it is a lot. It can get overwhelming. But again, that's the reason why too you need a lot of support. You need the coaches, you need the teachings, you need the guru, you need, because yeah, all you actually are getting is love and God. But I was talking to Danny Caicedo the other day in my podcast. She was talking about, okay, if you wanted to build a house, you could do it yourself. You could learn architecture, construction, and do it all yourself. But how much longer and how much effort would it take? Why not get support from, the experts? And the other thing that I had written down, like a note that I feel like for me, it's kind of like the message that I was getting from all this conversation is I wrote no sacrifice. So God, this is a big one. God is not asking us to sacrifice any parts of ourselves, like any part of our desires. He's never going to ask us to sacrifice anything. So it is all part of this big fairy tale thing beginning, because we're not going to call it an ending. And if you feel like you're finding yourself in a situation where you're sacrificing or to people please yourself or anything about you, that's not your twin flame, that's not union, that's not God. So that's how you know that you're maybe leaking, maybe you're doing something that's kind of like out of alignment. Not wrong, because I also want to point out that there's no wrong or right. Nobody's going to tell you if it's wrong or right. It's like, is it aligned or is it not aligned? That's how you know what's right for you and how you reveal the truth. So yeah, what says here, because I've been called to read the next paragraph. Your twin flame doesn't need to make any decisions to come to you. But as Shalia and I found out, we were making all the same decisions to come to each other at the same time because we are one at the core. We're so intrinsically connected that our choices powerfully impact the choices of our twin flame. So if you remember that you and your twin flame are choosing together, that's super empowering and that makes everything easier. Just claim back your power, choose love, choose union, and there's no way you can go wrong, right?
absolutely. And it's instant. Like I think people don't believe that as you make a core choice that it isn't as instant as it is, but it truly is an instant thing. And only one of you have to do the healing. That's the perk of it. You do want to be compassionate, because if you are the one healing, your twin flame is going to be moving through things and going through upheaval, not quite understanding why. At the core they know that they're purging, but I guess if they were to look at themselves 3D, they'd be like, why am I moving through this? And it's because the other twin flame is doing the healing. So have compassion for your union as you move through upsets, and know that as one, you make the same core choice. We were at a restaurant the other day, and my twin flame is on his phone, like on his phone, and totally not paying attention. And I'm sitting here, and there's two older Caucasian women staring at us. Like, I could get this energy of like, this asshole is not even like giving her the time of day. He's on his phone, blah blah blah. So I felt a little disrespected, and I just moved through my feelings, and I gave myself what I needed. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to love him where he is and accept him exactly where he is. And I'm going to just love myself here. And then he just looks up and kind of like looks around, and then he puts his phone in his pocket, and his full attention was on me the rest of the time we were there. I was like, and I thought about it, I was like, I could have easily been like, could you get off your phone, please? Like, that's not a very loving energy. But I was like, you know what? Like, he is where he is. I'm just gonna love him as he is. And just naturally we shifted. So I was like, wow, we really do make the same core choice at every given moment. It may look a little different on the outside, but at the core, you're always choosing as one. So you never have to try to control or manipulate or convince or anything like that. You just do your inner work, you just be, and you do it to feel better. I didn't do it to get him to try to change. I just recognized I don't feel good in this moment, and I don't feel respected. So I'm going to, again, take full responsibility and heal it. And naturally, he met me in that space. And that is like a really beautiful perk of a twin flame, is like, you never have to get anything from them. So as you heal, they heal, and you really do it as one. And so again, you're not doing it alone. If it looks like you're doing it alone on the outside, you're not. Your twin flame is doing it with you.
Claps, please. Ariel, join us.
Yay.
Oh, what a beautiful way. I mean, you guys know that I could continue this forever and ever and ever. We're definitely going to keep this conversation going soon in any other episodes. But thank you so much for sharing your divine beauty, and the investing this energy to help us heal the collective and encourage other people to do the same, and to have I guess more fun and ease in this journey, because that's what I'm here for. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. That's ego story. So Kanisha is a coach, Ascension coach. He has workshops, card readings, all of that. Reach out. I'm also an Ascension coach, so reach out to me. Buy Manu's art shirts again. Let's show the shirt. And hopefully soon we're gonna be able to have dance classes with Ariel or something like that, because I can't wait. I've been waiting for that workshop to happen for so long. Right, Ariel?
It's gonna be a bomb. You're gonna enjoy it. I know it. I'm pretty good.
I'm excited for that, because I just want to say like I'm Latina or whatever, but it's so hard for me to dance salsa. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, my feet don't work like this, like they're not swaying the way they're supposed to sway.
That's why
It's
like
so hard.
if you're in your head, it's gonna be difficult. But if you get out of your head and you allow the music to, it's like allowing your body to synchronize with the music, and then you don't even have to think about it. It's just
the ball is in your court. The ball is in your court. We're waiting for that workshop. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like, because I'm like, okay, like I can explain to somebody, I get them
ever too. Like I was like, I did like a little like fake mock trial of like, how would the workshop come together? What would I do? It would be like divine feminines, like twerking, and like.
Yeah, stay tuned, everyone. It's happening. It's happening. I'm calling it. I choose. So let's see if that works with a soul family.
No, I really appreciate you always supporting me. I really appreciate you, Kanisha, Manu, for sharing your story. Manu, I resonated so much with your story. I think that a lot of like young people can really resonate with healing around the nightlife, the going out culture, the youth culture. So like, I really appreciate you sharing that. And Kanisha, oh my gosh, you guys need to take Kanisha's work for Divine Feminine. If you're
still
a divine,
taking it. It's about to be the third week. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a divine feminine and you're healing around your divine femininity, which for sure for me, like being a man, like it was like really challenging. And she's very inclusive. It's just very loving. It's just straight up God speaking through her channel. I mean, she's a very
great.
Got it. Thank you, everyone. I'm definitely gonna link up your website, Kanisha's website, and Manu's website. Thank you, everyone. Love you. See you next time.
Love y'all. Bye.